This past summer, I finally got a chance to visit Six Flags Great America, located just north of Chicago in Gurnee, Illinois. This park is one I'd wanted to visit for quite a few years. It all started when I saw Goliath. I think it was the first time I personally saw a proper stall. That orange topper track and the dive loop looked amazing too. But like most parks we research, those plans were put on a temporary hold, so I could get out to parks such as Cedar Point, Kings Island, and Hershey Park. I also had to ride Fury, and everyone was talking about El Toro, Voyage, and Lightning Rod. So naturally I had to make those trips happen too. Then in 2019, the park opened Max Force, a compressed air rocket of a coaster built by S&S. Growing up with Kings Dominion as my home park and getting to ride Hypersonic more times than I could ever count, Max Force would now put Great America back near the top of my to-do list. So I finally planned that trip in 2021. This is a huge park that packs 15 coasters, so I made sure to schedule plenty of time for the full experience. And working behind my computer screen, I had built the perfect plan that just couldn't fail. Step 1, drive to the park. Step 2, ride coasters. Step 3, drive home. Easy enough, right? No, for real. Day 1, I'd drive to Camden Park and grab a quick ride on Big Dipper. Then I'd hit the road and finish up my drive to Kings Island, just in time for a night ride on the Beast and Orion, topped off with a great firework display. Day 2, I'd spend the entire day enjoying Kings Island and all this wonderful park has to offer. Day 3, drive to Indiana Beach and visit here for a few hours. Check out some coasters and eat those tacos everyone has told me all about, before heading to Great America for the second half of the day. Then days 4 and 5 would be all Great America. And finally day 6 was Kennywood. No, wait. When driving from Chicago to Pittsburgh, Cedar Point's literally 15 minutes out the way. So yeah, that's now mandatory too, which would leave day 7 for Kennywood, so I can finally ride Phantom's Revenge, see what all the jazz is about. I arrived at Great America an hour or so before close, and I headed straight for Goliath, that RMC creation I was so excited to ride for many years. And it was perfect. Even better, getting to the park so late made for a perfect sunset ride as my first on this beast of a coaster. And it was everything I'd hoped for. After that ride, I couldn't wait to spend days 4 and 5 at this park. So I went back to my hotel, and that's when things took a turn for the worst. Well, just great. Gonna storm on day 5 at Great America. Oh well, I'll just watch some old cartoons. Man, you see, the weather forecast showed not only storms for day 5 at Great America, but also storms for day 7 at Kennywood. However, if I spent day 5 at Cedar Point and day 6 at Kennywood, it'd be great the entire trip. Problem solved. Now I need a perfect game plan in order to tackle Great America in just a single day. I'd wake up before everyone in Gurnee that day, beat them all to the park, and be the first person of the day on Max Force. That'll save me a pile of time, and since I'm getting the first ride of the day, I should be in great position to beat the crowds to Raging Bull and X-Flight too. So I did just that, waiting at rope drop for Max Force, but I was told, yep, this ride's gonna be delayed. I saw it testing, so I decided to wait it out. 10 minutes later, I secured the first ride of the day. I headed towards Raging Bull, only to find it closed. Great, I'll head to X-Flight. Closed. Just my luck. At least American Eagle's running. So I booked it over to that coaster since it was a high priority on my list. After about a 12-mile walk through the queue line, I finally made it. So many people disliked this ride, but I found it to be a blast. It only ran one side, so I can only imagine how good it would be if it actually raced. Sure, that helix is ridiculous. It's so drawn out, so long, but the only thing I could do is laugh to myself. Like, what even is this? But that first drop was fantastic, and the surprise monster pop of air halfway towards the helix was everything. Made the entire ride worth it. And I'd just love to marathon this amazing coaster all day if I could. I know it's not for everyone, but I loved it. Raging Bull was back up, but now it had a super long line, and X-Flight was looking to be down all day. So I headed to experience some other machines. Wizard's one of the most unique coasters you'll find anywhere on the planet. It's the master of being great without having anything that's actually great. The ride starts off with an electric spiral lift hill, and from what I've been told, this lift hill had to spiral at a slight incline because any more of an angle and the motors wouldn't have been strong enough to make the pull up. It's mainly just some long drawn out straight shots paired with great turns and some very low to the ground moments. Just a fun coaster. It's very popular and it gets some pretty long lines, and the low height requirement make it especially popular for families with younger children. Not to mention it's one of the last of its kind in the world. This ride is a great piece of coaster history, and I hope the park keeps it running great for many years. I then headed over to V2. The wait was only around 30 minutes, and I'm a sucker for these inverted impulse coasters by Intamin. I always grab the very back seat. In my opinion, no other seat matters. Is it just me, or do these Intamins not have the best sounding launches of any coaster? I love them. I was right next to the original Batman invert, so of course I had to go check that one out. These are some of the very best inverts. They're really quick and they pack a real punch. Plus all the others were cloned from the original, so its placement in the park is tops of them all, though I couldn't get over that weird looking train design. Everyone raves about Viper and how good of a wood coaster that is, so I got in line for it. It was super long, and about halfway through the ride went down and everybody was leaving, so I just decided to leave too. At this point I still really needed to get Raging Bull, so I headed back over to it, but the line was nearly 3 hours long. Honestly, I think I picked the busiest day of the year to visit. The park was just slammed, and it didn't help that X-Flight was closed and Viper had just went down too. And I'm not real sure why, but I really wanted to ride that Aero Looper Demon, but that was down all day too, and I was told there was a 0 chance it was going to open. So I figured it'd be a good time to grab something to eat and just come up with a new plan. I decided to just go wait in a 30-minute line and grab my free skip the line pass that's included with my membership plan. I wanted to get it for Raging Bull, but I accidentally told him I wanted it for Goliath because I was thinking about the Hyper at Over Georgia. So I headed back over to Raging Bull, where I was told I couldn't use it there. After explaining the situation and how I messed up, they understood and they worked with me to get my ride on Raging Bull. This coaster was really high on my to-do list because recently there had been a ton of noise in the community about how great of a moment of ejector that you can get on the very back row, most stating it had the best drop of all B&M Hypers. And this must be no secret to people that regularly visit Great America, because for the first time in my life, I saw the back row with a longer line than the front. Totally worth it, fantastic first drop. But even with that and the rare twister layout, I still didn't quite see it being better than some of the other inverts I've experienced. You see, even though I'm the first to call out these Hypers for being extremely repetitive, I still prefer the long floater they deliver over the positives I got on Goliath. I mean Raging Bull. But even so, it was still a fantastic ride, and I really enjoyed the change of pace for this type of ride. After getting off Raging Bull, I got another pleasant surprise. X-Flight was finally open. The park had worked really hard all day to get it open. I thought that was wonderful to see. Just the fact they didn't give up and say, well, better luck tomorrow. I had enough time for one final long wait and ride. It was between this and Superman Ultimate Flight. And since I've been on rides just like Superman, it was a no-brainer. This ride would complete the wing coasters in America for me, and I always wanted to experience those back-to-back near misses through the flight tower. It was a phenomenal coaster from start to finish. I left Great America missing a few rides I was really excited to get during my visit, but even so, I still felt like I got a good feel for this park and all it has to offer. And honestly, I think it's got one of the most complete coaster collections you're going to find anywhere in the country. I mean, think about it. You have a B&M Hyper with Raging Bull, a wing with X-Flight, invert with Batman, and a flyer with Superman Ultimate Flight. Most parks will love to have just one of the four. You got 2 launched coasters, 4 wood coasters including the legendary RMC and Goliath, a racing Intamin build, Little Dipper, and Viper built by PTC and praised by many, an Aero Looper, Schwarzkopf, indoor coaster, and a 4D free spin. Oh yeah, and a Vekoma Junior coaster too. The collection is legit legendary status, not to mention the history this park boasts. Intamin's first major coaster, which broke tons of records when it opened, the very first B&M invert ever built with Batman, Whizzer, which is a special coaster and one of the last of its kind in existence. When Goliath opened, it set records for the longest and steepest first drop on a wood coaster, along with the fastest, and that replaced Iron Wolf, which was a historic coaster for being B&M's very first machine ever constructed. That coaster was used in the movie Richie Rich and has since been relocated to Six Flags America, where it recently received floorless trains and a new paint job. Little Dipper was built in 1950 and it closed in 2009. Great America wanted to save the coaster, so they purchased it and relocated it to their park so that people could continue to enjoy this great ride. I could go on and on about this great collection, but the fact of the matter is, Six Flags Great America is without question one of the best parks in America. So if you haven't got the chance to visit, don't make the mistake I made. Pencil it down and go experience this great park and all that it offers.